The elevator doors slid open to reveal Eliza Montgomery standing alone in her penthouse, tears streaming down her face as she reached for Michael's hand. "Don't go," she whispered, her voice breaking. "It's my birthday." The woman worth billions, who commanded boardrooms and empire, was now begging a man who cleaned her offices for minimum wage to stay. How did they get here? And what would happen when the clock struck midnight? If you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more emotional journeys that prove love transcends all boundaries. Michael Parker adjusted his worn jacket as he stepped into the gleaming lobby of Montgomery Tower. The marble floors reflected the chandelier light, making him feel even more out of place. At 42, life had hardened him into someone unrecognizable from the hopeful young man he once was. 5 years of single fatherhood after his wife's death had taught him that dreams were luxuries he couldn't afford. "Evening, Mr. Parker," the security guard nodded respectfully. Michael returned the greeting with a tired smile. His night shift cleaning the executive floors would start in 20 minutes, but he always arrived early. The extra time meant he could call Emma, his 12-year-old daughter, to make sure she'd finished her homework before going to bed at her aunt's apartment. "Dad, I got an A on my science project." Emma's voice bubbled through the phone, momentarily lifting the weight from his shoulders. "That's my girl," he said, pride warming his voice. "I knew all those late nights would pay off. When will you be home?" The question carried the familiar undercurrent of loneliness that always twisted his heart. "Same time as always, sweetheart. I'll be there when you wake up for school." After hanging up, Michael rode the service elevator to the supply closet on the 50th floor. As he gathered his cleaning cart, he heard raised voices coming from the executive conference room. He tried to ignore it, office politics weren't his business, but the sound of something shattering made him pause. "I don't care what the board thinks." A woman's voice, sharp with authority. "This is my company, and I will not sacrifice those families for quarterly profits." Michael recognized that voice. Everyone in the building knew Eliza Montgomery, the 38-year-old CEO who had transformed her father's struggling manufacturing company into a tech empire. Her face graced magazine covers, her name topped Forbes lists, and rumors about her personal life fueled tabloid headlines. He was about to continue with his work when the conference room door flew open. Eliza Montgomery stormed out, her tailored blazer and pencil skirt contrasting with the wild look in her eyes. Behind her, a group of men in expensive suits exchanged glances. "The meeting is adjourned," she announced without looking back. "And if anyone follows me, you're fired." Michael pressed himself against the wall, hoping to become invisible as she passed. But fate had other plans. Eliza turned the corner too quickly and collided with his cart, sending cleaning supplies clattering across the polished floor. "I'm so sorry, Ms. Montgomery," Michael stammered, dropping to his knees to gather the scattered items. He expected anger, perhaps even dismissal. Instead, when he looked up, he saw something unexpected in her eyes: vulnerability. "No, I'm sorry," she said, kneeling beside him in her $1,000 outfit to help pick up bottles of cleaner. "I wasn't watching where I was going." Up close, Michael noticed details the magazines didn't capture: the faint circles under her eyes despite flawless makeup, the tension in her shoulders, the way her hands trembled slightly as she handed him a bottle of glass cleaner. "You don't need to do that," he said, uncomfortable with the role reversal. "I made the mess," she replied simply. Then, with a glance back toward the conference room, she added, "One of many today, apparently." When everything was back in the cart, an awkward silence fell between them, the billionaire and the janitor, kneeling on the same floor but worlds apart. "Thank you," Michael said finally, standing up. "And don't worry about the board. From what I've heard, you usually win those battles." Her eyebrows rose in surprise. "You follow company politics?" He shrugged. "Hard not to when you clean the rooms where decisions are made. People forget the cleaning staff have ears." A small smile touched her lips. "And what else have those ears heard about me?" That you're brilliant. Demanding. Fair. He hesitated, then added, and lonely. The smile vanished. For a moment, he thought he'd crossed a line, but then she laughed, a genuine sound that transformed her face. Well, your ears are better than most journalists. She extended her hand. I'm Eliza. Michael Parker. Their handshake lasted a beat longer than necessary. Well, Michael Parker, thank you for the cleanup assistance. I should let you get back to work. He nodded, expecting her to walk away. Instead, she lingered. Actually, she said, would you mind bringing some coffee to my office in about an hour? I'll be working late. That's not usually part of my... I know. I'd just appreciate the company. Something in her voice made it impossible to refuse. An hour later, Michael knocked on her office door, balancing a tray with 2 cups of coffee. He'd found real mugs in the executive kitchen instead of using paper cups. Come in, she called. Her office was surprisingly modest compared to the opulence of the building. One wall was entirely glass, offering a panoramic view of the city lights. Her desk was organized chaos, stacks of papers, 3 computer monitors, and framed photographs whose subjects he couldn't make out. Black, right? He asked, setting down her mug. She looked up from her computer, surprise evident. How did you know? I empty your trash. 5 cups a day, no cream or sugar wrappers. Observant, she murmured, taking a sip. Perfect. Thank you. Michael placed his own mug on the edge of her desk and turned to leave. Stay, she said. Please. Just for a few minutes. Against his better judgment, he sat in the chair across from her. Rough day? He asked when the silence stretched too long. She sighed, pushing away from her computer. The board wants to close our factory in Millfield. 300 jobs lost, but a 15% increase in quarterly profits. Millfield? Michael straightened. My brother worked there before he moved west. Those jobs support the whole town. Exactly. She ran a hand through her perfectly styled hair, disrupting it. But apparently, that's not the concern of a forward-thinking tech company. What will you do? Fight them. Find another way. She took another sip of coffee. But enough about my problems. Tell me about yourself, Michael Parker. He shifted uncomfortably. Not much to tell. I clean offices at night, sleep during the day, and raise my daughter. You have a daughter? Her expression softened. Emma. She's 12 going on 30. He couldn't help the smile that came with thoughts of Emma. Smart as a whip and twice as sharp. You raise her alone? Since my wife died 5 years ago. Cancer. I'm sorry, she said, and he believed her. That must be incredibly difficult. Michael shrugged. We manage. Her aunt helps when I work nights. And during the day? I pick up handyman jobs. Fix leaky faucets, patch drywall, whatever pays the bills. Eliza studied him with an intensity that made him self-conscious. You're exhausted, she stated. He laughed. Show me a single parent who isn't. Why cleaning? With your skills, you could. Night shift pays more, he interrupted. And it means I can be there when Emma leaves for school and when she gets home. The hours between are for sleeping. Eliza nodded slowly. Family first. I respect that. Something in her tone made him curious. Do you have family? A shadow crossed her face. Parents died in a plane crash 10 years ago. No siblings. No children. She gestured to the office around her. This became my family. Sounds lonely, he said before he could stop himself. Instead of taking offense, she smiled sadly. Your ears really do work well. Their conversation drifted to lighter topics. He told her about Emma's science project on renewable energy. She shared stories about her travels. For nearly an hour, the billionaire and the janitor talked as equals, the barriers of wealth and status temporarily forgotten. When Michael finally glanced at his watch, he stood abruptly. I should get back to work. I have 3 more floors to clean before morning. Of course. Was that disappointment in her voice? Thank you for the coffee. And the conversation. At the door, he paused. For what it's worth, I think you're right about Millfield. Some things matter more than profit margins. Her smile followed him into the hallway. The next night, Michael found a note taped to his supply closet. Coffee at midnight? It became their ritual. Every night at midnight, Michael would bring coffee to her office. Sometimes they talked for 5 minutes, sometimes an hour. She never mentioned their arrangement to anyone, and neither did he. In the strange, quiet hours when the rest of the world slept, they discovered an unexpected friendship. He learned that despite her wealth, she lived simply. That she worked 18-hour days not from greed but from a sense of responsibility to her employees. That she donated millions to cancer research after losing her mother to the disease. She learned about his struggles to provide Emma with opportunities he never had. About his dreams of someday returning to college to finish the engineering degree he'd abandoned when Emma was born. About his quiet dignity in the face of circumstances that would have broken many others. 3 weeks into their midnight conversations, Eliza made an announcement that splashed across business news. Montgomery Tech would not only keep the Millfield factory open but expand it, creating 100 new jobs. The board was furious, but she held firm. That night, Michael brought champagne instead of coffee. Congratulations, he said, pouring 2 glasses. Millfield will remember this. I had a good advisor, she replied, raising her glass to him. As they sipped champagne, Michael noticed a small wrapped package on her desk. What's that? He asked. Oh. She seemed almost embarrassed. It's my birthday tomorrow. My assistant always gets me something. Tomorrow's your birthday? How old? 39, she admitted. Not exactly a milestone. Every birthday's a milestone, he countered. Any big plans? She laughed, but the sound held no humor. Work, then more work. Maybe a solitary dinner at that Italian place on 5th. Alone? On your birthday? She shrugged. I'm used to it. The next day, Michael called in sick to his afternoon handyman job, something he never did. Instead, he took Emma shopping. Dad, why are we buying a cake for your boss? Emma asked as they selected a small chocolate cake from the bakery. She's not exactly my boss, he explained. More like, a friend who happens to own the building I clean. Emma gave him the skeptical look that reminded him so much of her mother. A friend who's a billionaire? Even billionaires need friends, Em. That night, Michael arrived at work with the cake in a box and a small wrapped gift. He'd spent more than he should have, but something about Eliza's resigned acceptance of a lonely birthday had bothered him. When midnight came, he knocked on her office door with his heart pounding inexplicably fast. Come in, she called. He entered balancing the cake box, 2 plates, and the small gift. Happy birthday, he announced. Eliza stared at him, speechless. For a moment, he feared he'd overstepped. You remembered, she finally said, her voice soft with wonder. Hard to forget. He set the cake on her desk and opened the box to reveal the simple chocolate cake with, Happy Birthday Eliza, written in blue icing. Nothing fancy, but everyone deserves cake on their birthday. It's perfect, she whispered, and to his alarm, her eyes filled with tears. Hey, no crying on birthdays. That's the rule. She laughed, wiping her eyes. Whose rule? Emma's. My daughter. She's very strict about birthday protocols. Smart girl. Eliza composed herself. Thank you, Michael. This means more than you know. He handed her the small wrapped package. It's not much. She unwrapped it carefully to reveal a delicate silver bracelet with a single charm, a tiny wrench. A reminder that you can fix anything, he explained, suddenly feeling foolish. Even stubborn boards of directors. Instead of responding, she stood and walked around the desk. Before he could react, she hugged him tightly. Thank you, she murmured against his shoulder. The embrace lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. When they separated, both were acutely aware of a shift in their relationship. They ate cake and talked until nearly 2 in the morning. As Michael prepared to leave and finish his neglected work, Eliza stopped him. I'm having a small dinner tomorrow night. Just a few friends at my penthouse. She hesitated. Would you and Emma like to come? The invitation hung between them, weighted with implications. I don't think we'd fit in with your crowd, he said gently. There is no crowd. Just a few people who matter to me. She met his eyes. You matter to me, Michael. He should have said no. Should have maintained the boundaries between their worlds. Instead, he heard himself say, what time? The next evening found Michael and Emma riding the private elevator to the penthouse floor, both dressed in their Sunday best. Emma clutched a handmade card, nervous but excited. Dad, is she really a billionaire? She whispered as the elevator climbed. Yes, but don't mention money. It's rude. Is she your girlfriend? No. She's a friend. Emma gave him that look again. You changed your shirt 3 times. Before he could respond, the elevator doors opened directly into Eliza's penthouse. The space was stunning but surprisingly warm, hardwood floors, comfortable furniture, walls lined with books instead of artwork. Eliza greeted them wearing jeans and a simple blouse, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked younger, more relaxed than in her office. You must be Emma, she said, kneeling slightly to meet the girl at eye level. Your dad talks about you all the time. Emma, usually shy with strangers, handed over her card. Happy birthday. I made this in art class. Eliza opened the card to find a carefully drawn picture of a woman standing on top of a building with a cape flowing behind her. Is this me? Emma nodded. Dad says you save people's jobs. That's what superheroes do. Eliza's expression softened as she looked from Emma to Michael. Your dad is very wise. She stood and gestured toward the living room. Come meet everyone. Everyone turned out to be just 3 people, Eliza's elderly housekeeper Maria, her driver Thomas, and her personal assistant Jen. No celebrities, no business associates, no glamorous friends. Just the people who helped her navigate daily life. The dinner was surprisingly relaxed. Emma charmed everyone with stories about her science projects. Michael found himself laughing more than he had in years. And Eliza, watching them all from the head of the table, seemed genuinely happy. After dinner, while Emma helped Maria serve the birthday cake, Eliza led Michael onto the terrace overlooking the city. Thank you for coming, she said, leaning against the railing. This is the best birthday I've had in years. We should be thanking you. Emma will be talking about this for months. She's extraordinary, Michael. You've done an amazing job with her. I can't take all the credit. She came that way. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city lights. Can I ask you something? He finally said. Anything. Why me? Why invite the night janitor into your life? She considered the question seriously. Because you see me. Not the CEO, not the billionaire, not the woman on magazine covers. Just me. She turned to face him. Do you know how rare that is? Before he could respond, Emma burst onto the terrace. Dad! Maria's teaching me to make churros. Can I stay in the kitchen while you guys talk boring grown-up stuff? Sure, sweetheart. Just don't make a mess. As Emma disappeared back inside, Eliza laughed. She's exactly like you described, 12 going on 30. She likes you, Michael said. She doesn't warm up to people easily. The feeling is mutual. Eliza hesitated, then added, I have something to ask you, and I want you to be honest. His guard instantly rose. Okay. I need a facilities manager for the Millfield expansion. Someone who understands both the technical aspects and the human element. She met his eyes. The